A new patch got announced last night, and boy, one hell of a patch it is. Let's read through it together. I'll give my input of what I'm thinking of, what the people who created the patch thought of, and let's just roll through the changes. Antaro Adun. We are excited to push patch 5.0.11 to PTR, which features various amounts of balance, bug fixes, and quality of life improvement done by our community members. Good job, community. Starting here with the Zerg balance changes. The Creep Tumor cooldown increased from 11 to 13 seconds. A 2-second increase means it won't really impact lower level of play, won't even really impact the higher level of play, but it will impact the highest level of play. Creep, not an insignificant nerf, but not the biggest nerf either. A lot of Zergs don't spread creep on cooldown, especially important in the early game. Second one, sight range reduced from 11 to 10, another minor nerf to creep here. And this is also a little bit of a quality of life change in a way, because visually where the creep reaches on the map, now there will be vision there and not over that area anymore. So usually you have your creep, and a little bit outside of the creep tumor would still grant vision. That is just not going to be the case no more. So a quality of life change more than anything in my mind, although still a slight nerf to the creep tumor as well. Hatchery, Lair, and Hive creep speed interval decreased from 0.2 to 0.25. That means that this is a buff. It means that the creep spreads slightly faster, and it allows Zergs, I believe in ZVZ, to wall a little bit easier and a little bit earlier. So really just trying to stabilize that ZVZ early game a bit more. Sight range increased from 10, 11, 12. So 10 for the Hatchery, 11 for the Lair, and 12 for the Hive to 12 all around, and that means that I think the hatchery is now capable of basically seeing the entire creep surrounding the hatchery as well, which is just nice, and also I think only really important in ZVZ. 90%, or hardly ever, but when it is important, it probably is very important. So these are ZVZ changes. We don't really care about them. The Viper. Viper, back in the day, was capable of yoinking 2 units at the same time if you queued them up at the same time. Now, there is a 0.71 second cast finish time to abduct. So, the Viper will need to finish the abduct, the initial yoink, before he can start his new yoink, which makes sense because I think he only has one yoinking device. I think it's his tongue, right, that the Viper uses. He can't split up the tongue. So, this was lore inaccurate, and that is why it was... No, that's not why it was changed, but it also was lore inaccurate. It was changed because double abducting was stupid, it looked stupid, and it shouldn't have been in the game. So this is a pretty major nerf for the Viper. First, for the Ultralisk, reduced size by 12.5%, making it a bit easier to maneuver through links and other units with its massive claws. It also increases the range slop from 1 to 1.4. That means that a target that is now out of range, where usually the Ultralisk will be pounding sand, it now is going to still be pounding the unit. A 0.4 range increase. Semi-significant. It's not going to matter too much in PvZ. Perhaps in Terran versus Zerg, it is going to have a bit of an impact against Marines, against Marauders, against Ghosts, that type of stuff. Moving on to the Hydralisk, Muscular Augment's move speed bonus increased from 0.79 to 105, and that's just a movement speed increase, exactly what it is. It's going to allow the Hydralisk to go across the map a bit faster, maybe bring back some Hydra play in the ZVP matchup, might help in certain scenarios as well in ZVZ against Mutas, for defensive rotations, for attacks. It just increases the strength of the Hydra a little bit. On top of that, the damage point has been reduced from 0.15 to 0.1. That increases the micro ability of the unit, because it means that after the shot has been fired, you can now issue a command 0.1 seconds after, and it will not cancel the shot. So it makes the kiting just slightly easier. Broodlord. These are interesting, because we're starting with a buff. Move speed increased from 1.97 to 2.3. And I hear the screeching in unison from Terran and Protoss players all around the world right now. Because they're angry. Why are we nerfing or buffing the Broodlord? That is stupid. The Broodlord is already strong and a boring unit. Exactly. However, it is weak in rotational scenarios where it needs to defend multiple locations, or if it wants to attack something and then move back home. It takes absolute ages, and it would be more fun if the Broodlord was a little bit stronger in those scenarios. And then we go into a nerf for the Broodling, where the duration gets reduced by a very significant amount of time, more than 2 seconds, 5.71 to 3.57. That will allow Archons, Marines, basically more basic units to deal with the Brute Lord. It also will mean that, yes, Ghost Store is going to be a lot stronger against Zerg in the late game. And that's definitely an area of caution. This is still the PTR. Things can still change. If it ends up being too strong or too weak, things can always be turned back. So keep that in mind while we're going through these patch notes. Final Zerg change, the Ravager. Build time increased from 8.6 to 12.9. This is for the sloppy Zergs, the scouting-less Zergs, the Zergs that don't have an Overlord on the other side of the map, the Zergs that don't sacrifice their Zerglings to get info. This is for these guys, because if you don't scout and you're caught off guard, you shouldn't be capable of morphing 6 Roaches into 6 Ravagers and all of a sudden have a solid defense. No. You require 4 seconds and 4.3 seconds more right now. So for the people that scout very well and have this stuff prepared, it's not going to be the biggest deal. For the people that always wait till the last second until they respond to something, the Zergs that go up to 85 workers, then start building Roaches and Ravagers simultaneously. Yes, this might be a little bit annoying. It is, of course, just an overall nerf to the Ravager and to defensive Zerg play in general, specifically in the ZVP matchup, but we also shouldn't forget aggressively in the ZVT matchup. Early 3 Ravager rushes, Roach Ravager rushes will all hit a little bit later, and in those early game seconds, 4 seconds, 4.3 seconds, I should say, is actually quite a lot. Nice. Next, Protoss, my love. Shield battery overcharge recharge rate reduced from 200% to 150. Now, I have absolutely no clue what this means. The battery overcharge recharge rate reduced. I'm gonna guess that this is something that the speed at which the battery regenerates. I actually have no clue what this means. I'm just gonna leave it up there in the air. If you know what it means, leave it down in the comments below. A lot of this language got made up by StarCraft 2 nerds in the community. I'm not a nerd, so I don't know what this means. But if you are a nerd, be sure to let me know in the comments. Probably a good change. It's a minor nerf to shield batteries, and I'm all down for that. The Observer. yeah. The move speed increased from 2.63 to 2.82. We got our Observer speed back, boys. So it's going to be a little bit easier to dodge Marines that are trying to chase your stupid Observer. However, it's also going to be easier for Terrans to spot that there is going to be an Observer because the model size has been increased by 17.5%, making it really I've seen it, quite a bit easier to spot on the map, and thus allowing, basically making it less of an invisible unit and more of a unit that, yes, you need detection to see, but you can see it more often than not. And Protoss can also put it back because of the increased move speed. So a little bit more counterplay and, higher skill cap on the Observer, which I didn't think I'd ever use these words in that combination together. I'm glad to hear it. Now, the biggest change for Protoss, at least in my mind, I love this so much. The Archon can now fit between single gap walls. How many times have we had that you have 6 Archons just bumping into your natural wall or bumping into your cannon in your third while Mutas and Lynx are ravaging absolutely everything? These times are now over, my friends. The Protoss propaganda has worked. We can fit through single gap walls. We made the Archons lose weight. Unbelievable. That is some, weight shaming right there. The collision size with other units, however, is unaffected. More nerd language, no one understands that. Next, the High Templar. Movement speed increased from 2.63 to 2.82. Having an attack, so you can A-move it with the rest of your army wasn't enough. We also wanted a movement speed increase so that we can now it's absolutely impossible that your Templar are lagging behind. Makes the control significantly easier, honestly. Any movement speed increase with a unit that usually is lagging behind is going to be huge. Now here, it pains my heart that the Purifier Orb radius is going to be reduced from 1.5 to 1.35. A pretty sizable nerf here to the Disruptor radius, and that is mainly for the Terran players, of course. Disruptor in the late game, a little bit too all-around strong, I think. I think a lot of people thought that as well. No real direct counter, except for the Liberator, perhaps. So, yeah, I think this is a good change to balance the unit just a tiny bit more. The Carrier. More than a year, I think, after I made the video that the Carrier should be removed. Well, the Carrier isn't being removed, but significant nerfs. Interceptor shields reduced from 40 to 30. Interceptor attack target priority reduced from 20 to 19. I believe that this means that right now, if you're A-moving with Corruptors and they're close enough to a carrier, that rather than shooting the Interceptors, they will target the carrier. That means that at especially lower level, Corruptors and Vikings are going to be a lot stronger against carriers than they are right now. So yes, this will also have an impact for the higher levels, but this is mainly a lower level change. A very brilliant little thing. I believe Scarlet came up with this one. Absolutely love it. Interceptor flying radius around target increased. Interceptor flying radius around target increased, so it moves around more, I guess. I don't know. Nerd language. Who cares? It's probably not very important. Next, the Sentry. Beautiful change. Build time reduced from 26.4 to 22.9 seconds. This is a change mainly aimed at PvP, allowing the first hallucination to get there 4 seconds faster, and in case of a 2-gate versus 2-gate, some type of proxy scenario, those 4 seconds could be very vital. I don't think it's going to impact any of the other matchups, not PvT, maybe some builds in PvT, but this is only pre-warp gate, don't forget. So it only changes the build time pre-warp gate. Up next, Forge. The level 1 upgrades research time reduced by 7 seconds. Level 2 upgrades research time reduced by 9 seconds. And level 3 upgrades research time reduced by 11 seconds. So a total of 27 seconds less is necessary to get to +3. This is just a general buff for Protoss. I am surprised to see it here, but I am happy with it because I'm a Protoss player. Yeah, it's just a straight up buff. There's nothing needed to be fixed, just a buff. Protoss needs it. When's the last time we won a tournament? Atlanta. That was the last tournament that was played as well. But we still need it. Next, Terran, the Ghost. The enhanced shockwaves upgrade got removed. Ooh, spicy. The base EMP radius got increased. Ooh, also spicy. So basically, I think enhanced shockwaves gave a radius of 2, and regular EMP radius was 1.5, and now we just move it to the middle of 1.75. That means that initial pushes with Ghost are going to be stronger, but the late game Ghost is going to be weaker. Beautiful change. Steady targeting is cancelled if the target moves more than 13.5 range away from the Ghost while casting. The cast range is 10. That means that Zerg units, some Zerg units, are going to be capable of running out of sniper range. That means that in every single retreat, rather than losing 15 Hydras if you're attacking into a position, you can actually retreat, which means that these fights in the late game are going to be less all-in-y, and there's more of a back and forth between the two armies, and also nerfs, of course, the Ghost a little bit. Fair play. Banshee. Hyperflighter rotors upgrade time reduced from 121 to 100 seconds. That's the Banshee speed, so straight up buff to speed. The cost has also been reduced, so just an overall buff to Banshee speed. We hardly ever see it used in high-level play. The last time was Ragnarok versus Maru GSL finals on Cosmic Sapphire, and even there it looked kind of wank. So I'm happy to see it. This could maybe be used now instead of Cloak. So rather than seeing people use Cloak, they could just get the Hyperflighter rotors. You know, you can make a choice rather than always going for the Invisible Boys. All right. Cyclone Mech Field Accelerator damage bonus change from +20 versus Armored to +10 versus all. I think this is a TVT change. And I don't even know what it does, but good job, Terrence. Nice. Sensor Tower radar range reduced from 30 to 27. Finally, free map hack for Terran is gone. What an unbelievably insane unit. The radar range, yeah, I mean, that is just, it's just insane that it was 30 range. 27 range is still too much, but it is less already, and I'm a fan of it. Adios Sensor Towers. Well, we're still going to see them because they're insanely good, but yeah, I'm happy that this is here. The Sensor Tower is absolutely mental. I can't believe it's literally just map hack in the game. I can't believe that stayed in for so long. It should be removed. It's still in here. Terrans are kind of married to the idea of having map hack. Scan isn't enough. They also want the radar range at 30. Whatever. It is what it is. Sensor Tower stays around. All right. Then we get to the Raven, a rework. Gas cost reduced from 200 to 150, so a huge buff. Build time reduced from 43 to 30, another buff. Starting energy increased from 50 to 75. How many buffs can we give them? Interference matrix duration reduced from 11 to 8. That's a nerf, especially helpful in the TVP matchup. Anti-armor missile armor reduction reduced from 3 to 2. That's also a nerf, which is important in literally every single matchup. Corvid reactor upgrade removed makes sense because of the starting energy here being gone. And the auto turret energy increased from 50 to 75. So the initial auto turret is going to be 13 seconds faster because the Raven builds faster. But then afterwards, the subsequent auto turrets will be later because of the higher energy cost and the same rate of energy regeneration. Now here come the MISC bug fixes, call changes. Now for people who aren't nerds, they don't know what these words mean. This means miscellaneous and this means quality of life. There you go. Explain it to you. All units follow acquire range reduced from 5 to 2. Units will switch to attacking from moving when within this range of the follow target. I have no clue what this means. Follow acquire range reduced from 5 to 2. Units will switch to attacking from moving when within the range of the follow target. Yeah, I once again, tell me in the comments what this means. I'm sure it's important. A minor thing. Dark Templar. Attack blink delay reduced from 0.75 to 0.71 seconds. Standardized numbered on normal game speed. Factory, increase maximum spawn radius by 1. This is good so that your tanks, your Thors, and your other crap doesn't get stuck, which happens fairly often in Terran bases at the high level, but especially at the lower level. So I'm a huge fan of this change. Changes that target lower level play and make it slightly easier, I'm a huge fan of. Widowmine, reduced random unburrow burrow delay from 0.36 seconds to 0.18 seconds. Average time remains the same. So there was this thing where Widowmines randomly burrowed at a slightly different speed, and it was pretty big. No one really realized and no one complained about it, but someone brilliant figured that out, and that's now not completely removed but halved. No longer target Zerger's axe without a manual order. This is cool as well. This is very, very cool because very often it would happen that it would be next to a hatchery and it would just target the axe, which is super annoying. Then we got the Cyclone. Fixed an issue where Lock-on could enter cooldown while the Cyclone is loaded into a medevac. I think Hero Marine figured that issue out at some point during one of his streams, but I'm not sure if he figured out that it was a bug or if it just, something weird happened. Lock-on no longer targets Zerg's axe without a manual order. So the same thing here is the Widowmine. Shield Battery fixed an issue where repeatedly issuing a stop command could increase the shield regen rate. This actually was a big issue and could have been abused in tournaments, but luckily no one did it. Adept fixed an issue where adepts could not be ordered to cancel the shade ability when selected with adepts who are not finished warping in. This was actually very huge. So basically you would warp in some adepts and then you'd select them in your new group and then you couldn't cancel the initial shade. It was very, very odd and it annoyed the ever-living crap out of me. You can also now load shading adepts into the prism while they're shading and it will cancel the shade rather than you have to cancel the shade and then click on the prism. So once again, a quality of life change. Fixed an issue where blah, blah, blah. Let's see if there's anything else interesting. You could cast mules on refineries, which is obviously a bug. Fixed an issue where Hydralisk attacked faster at melee range. All of this stuff is not that big of a deal. Here, attack target priority increased from 10 to 20, so it now has very high attack priority on the stasis ward. That is actually kind of big, but that also is kind of the only thing. The rest is just like sound issues and things we don't really care about. Steady targeting can now be manually cancelled. That's actually pretty big. So you can cancel snipe. That actually is important. That's the patch. A lot of stuff here. Big shout out to the community and especially to the people who have been implementing it. You know who you are. Yeah, that's going to be it for me today. We'll try to get some games up on this new patch. Test it a little bit. It is still on the PTR. And if you have any suggestions for the patch, of course, it's still in PTR. If you have any change that you want, be sure to leave them down in the comments. The Blizzard balance team reads absolutely everything, including my YouTube comments. They say that most of this patch actually was based on my YouTube comments. That's also why it looks so extremely good. All right. I'm happy with it. What are your thoughts? Please let me know. Send me an email or leave it in the comments. I don't read your emails. Bye-bye.